Should we talk about this piece of garbage movie? Who even has this one?
It's me.
It's you?
This movie was just so...
Do you want to clap us in and hit us off?
Yeah. Okay. 3, 2, 1, clap.
But you can't check your six. It's kind of like, taking a screwdriver to a gunfight. What's happening? Just like on top.
Hello. Welcome to Stephen See It All. I hope you can hear the defeat in my voice. Actually, I don't know. This wasn't the worst. This wasn't the worst.
This was not the worst.
It was the worst.
That's kind of why I'm so disappointed in it.
This has been like the most just like safe kind of, that was a movie that existed and
the plot didn't really make sense.
None of it mattered. And I'm going to kind of
really...
move on with my life and never think about it again after we record this episode.
That's my problem. I don't get, I don't know what I just watched. I didn't get it.
I think I know what it thought it was. I can't tell you what it actually was. Definitely wasn't what it thought it was.
But there's I didn't get it respectfully, and there's I didn't get it derogatorily. This is derogatorily. So,
yes.
Episode 45 of Stephen See It All, Cartels or Killing Salazar. We are in the era where you will just see the wrong poster or the wrong title for the movie listed when you search it up, and nobody cares enough to correct it.
No, this is Keone Waxman's final Seagal film.
Oh, this is officially legit for good.
Officially, legit for good. His last one.
Going out on a whimper. Yeah. Although, this isn't the first time it's happened, but I did kind of have a, okay. Keone, returning to Keone Waxman's been a slight little upgrade in production value.
A slight little upgrade in production value.
A slight little. I mean, whenever we went from Code of Honor and Sniper Special Ops, back to End of a Gun,
yeah.
Unfortunately, there is a Keone Waxman feel.
There is a Keone Waxman feel.
This felt like a Keone Waxman.
It's like a dry Triscuit that they forgot to put any sort of flavorings on. There's not even salt on this thing. It's a Triscuit. There's some texture here, but that you're not getting
just
much
no seasoning.
No seasoning, not even salt. There's nothing on this.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it. So we finish out Keone Waxman's grand run. What I was gonna say is that it's funny because this isn't even a Seagal problem. When I watched this on Plex and I had other recommended movies, half of those movies just had a poster with the title that didn't align with the listed title of the movie. They just know this is the genre of direct-to-DVD movie that we're gonna put the wrong title on the poster or on the listing online and nobody cares.
No.
This is a, if you caught it on TV, you fall asleep on 2 p.m. on a Saturday watching a type movie.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, this had a budget of $6 million and had a box office take of 37,000.
It did get a limited theatrical release.
It did?
Allegedly, apparently. Yeah. I wasn't at the theaters. I can't confirm. It says limited theatrical release.
And it brought out 36 grand.
Well, 37, about a little over $37,500.
I mean, how many DVDs would you have to sell in order to hit that?
Yeah, I don't know. But don't you know, you can make more money with a flop than a hit.
I can't believe they spent that much money on this movie.
I have to assume there was.
It has to be money laundering.
Here.
It has to be money laundering. We've been saying it all along. There's just no way.
Don't you see the genius of it? We'll make the worst movie ever. We'll cast Steven Seagal, and he's not even the lead. And the dude dance number. Okay, Cartels or Killing Salazar. Which honestly is a better title. It seems like that was the working title, and they released as Cartels. Killing Salazar is a better title.
That's a much better title. It almost makes more sense than Cartels.
Almost,
because
the good guys actually aren't killing Salazar. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, what happens in this movie? Try to figure it out.
Please tell me.
My understanding of the narrative as it was presented.
Yeah,
roughly,
because there are 3 different times. There's the movie tells you, this is a major plot twist, and you're like, well, it would be if I understood what was going on.
So in the present day, our main character, Tom, I think he's played by
Sizemore.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tom Sizemore. So our main character, played by Luke Goss, who is the main character of the film, despite what the poster and the credits and every part of this would tell you. He's being interrogated by Steven Seagal. In his huskiest, mumbliest, hardest to understand voice so far.
The worst.
I like had to turn the this one. I didn't have subtitles available for it, so I had to turn the TV volume up so high, but like specifically turn like the subwoofer like down, because then not even just for explosions, the music would randomly just like and
I did have subtitles for this one. I don't like using subtitles in English language movies, and I turned them on halfway through because I couldn't understand a single word Seagal was saying.
It was indecipherable. But he is at his graveliest. He is interrogating, I'm just gonna call him Luke. He's interrogating Luke, like, what happened on this mission went wrong? What happened on the mission? You're not telling us what happened on the mission. So and it jumps back and forth with this, where that's the framing device that he's like being interviewed or whatever.
He's telling the story of the mission.
What happens, like in order.
And there's supposed to be like an unreliable narrator thing going on.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go through like what generally is alleged to have happened. So
that factors in not at all.
This Salazar guy, he is the leader of a cartel, I guess.
Sure.
You don't say.
Like, they call it the Circle.
Yeah, it's an Eastern European cartel, is basically. Seagal is leading a mission to go capture him, and he's all, make sure you don't shoot him, make sure we get him alive, we need to make sure he captures the guy alive, don't go until you hear my command, okay? And starts very chess heavy. We've talked a lot about how they have villains play chess in these movies. The first opening, like 7 minutes, actually involve a lot of chess. So Salazar and his deputy are playing chess and talking about, oh, this is the perfect game that can only, that's not even the accent he has, I don't know why I'm doing that accent. This is the perfect game that can only be one king, you know, chess metaphors, and check, and like that's the code word. So they go in and they do the marshals, they go in, they shoot up the whole place. Salazar is just kind of like, we can just surrender, like my lawyers will have us out, like we don't need a shootout. And his deputy decides to do a whole big shootout, and everyone else, like everybody but him, is doing a whole big shootouts. At the last, even though he said, hey, we can just like surrender, Salazar goes to grab a gun, Seagal shoots him, and he's like, all right, taken care of. So they load him up in a body bag. They're like, yeah, Salazar's dead, we got him. Seagal explicitly said, don't kill him, and then Seagal shot him. And then cut to Luke and company, Luke and friends. They are U.S. Marshals. They're at like a training base, just doing training activities. He shows up at 0900, and the guy's like, you're late. And he says, the posted time was 0900. And the guy says, like, well, I don't care about that imaginary number you have in your head. You're late. Which for some reason stuck out to me.
It stuck out to me too, because why
like,
even bother with the line? Like,
it gets even dumber in like 30 seconds, but keep going.
Well, is it when he's at the gun range?
No, so he is in his like motorcycle jacket, and they start jogging off. It says 0900. I rewound and watched this scene like 3 times. Then they jog off screen. They jog back on screen, and it's 1400 hours. Were they jogging for 5 hours?
And they made him do it all in
a motorcycle jacket?
Oh, must be.
Because he got there late on time.
Did they make everyone run for 5 hours in jeans?
That'd be a pretty funny bit. Yeah, they're the U.S. Marshals. Part that I like is then they go to the gun range, and he's showing, and there's a gal there, and she's really good at shooting. And then they're like, all right, you have 11 seconds to shoot 6 targets. And the guy starts counting down, and it's like 11 seconds, 9 seconds, 8 seconds, and the guy hasn't started shooting yet. And then he starts shooting, like to show that, I don't need the full time. Very slight detail that shouldn't stick out to me as much as it did, but they say you have 11 seconds to do 6 shots, and he does like 4 shots and hits 4 targets. And they're like, you didn't get the last target, you had plenty of time. And he's like, nah, you see, because I never shoot a beautiful woman if I can help it. Because like the cutout, the target they're shooting at was like female shaped. It just bothered me so much, because I'm just like,
it gets way worse at the end.
I know.
It's bad.
The part that bothered me is just a continuity thing, like that he fired 4 out of 6, and they're talking about how he didn't shoot the last one, and I'm like, he didn't shoot the last 2. Like,
we're 45 movies into our Seagology, and it's the continuity errors that are bothering you the most.
Because this one, even if like they
this continuity error,
even if they film, because here's the thing, because it just shows like how lazy these things are. I know these don't have the biggest budgets and the biggest stars or things they can't help.
$8 million.
Like a high school film project would have gotten the number of gunshot sounds.
Well, but like even if on like the day they filmed, even if the day they filmed they didn't get the right take, he didn't shoot enough. If you just put in a 5th gunshot sound effect, it didn't even have to connect to anything. I wouldn't like even correct you. Like I wouldn't care enough. I'm like, I can count to 4 is my problem. Even if you're not looking, even if you're just like looking away from the screen, you still know it was wrong.
Yeah. That
one just stuck out to me because I'm like, that's not a budget or ability or skill thing. That's just laziness.
Well,
thing.
but it's also, it's supposed to be a test of, it's not a test, but it's supposed to be a show of skill.
Right.
I'm obviously the least knowledgeable in this area, but 6 metal targets in 11 seconds doesn't exactly sound like some kind of standardized test. This sounds like some garbage they made up for the script of this movie. I want you to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
That's like way longer than I thought.
That's so long. That's so long to take 6 shots at stationary targets. Are you kidding me? Like what? And that was
From
supposed
like
to show how
feet.
Yeah, that was supposed to show how elite they were. Like I can't. That was the part that made me mad.
No, that's fair. Because I'm not even trying to like do a humble brag or something, but if I like whenever you're counting that out, in my head I was kind of thinking, yeah, it doesn't seem that hard. I think I might be able to do that.
I think I might be able to do this.
I could probably shoot 6 stationary targets that are like 15 to 30 feet away in that time. And I'm not a trained U.S. Marshal.
Anyway.
And this is where he starts to bond with the gal there, Amanda. And this is like one of the like 20 seconds on screen that they have together before it later, for some reason in the last act, this turns into a romance between them. So they're like, all right, let's go jogging. Then they go to their mission briefing, and the mission briefing is like, hey, this body of the Salazar guys coming here. We basically have to like babysit it. The DEA is having us babysit the body. They're like, all right.
I want to emphasize absolutely no reason.
That's the entire setup of this movie. There's absolutely no reason. So they go to the site, and maybe a little foreshadowing. I do need to point this out because this is more foreshadowing than we usually get when they get the briefing of like, we got to babysit this body. Whenever they're getting up, Luke is talking to Amanda. He's just like, hey, well, what's the holdup? Let's go. Like she's looking at the dossier for an extra second. Ooh, foreshadowing.
Ooh.
So they go to meet up to hand over the body, and psych, first big plot twist of the movie, he's alive. Like Salazar just comes walking out. And they make a whole big stink about like fighting over like the DEA agent guy. He's like, hey, you gotta watch this living human being, not a body. And they make a whole big stink about it, but then they go along with it anyway. They're like, oh no. And the DEA agent's guy's like, hey, you gotta go watch him in this hotel over there. Like you and your 6 agents need to like, guard him in this hotel over there. And I'm not even joking. The marshals are like, what about that army base that's literally right there? Like they're pointing at it. It's in sight. Like, what if we take him to that well-guarded, heavily armed, like United States Army base that's literally right there? And the DA agent's like, nah, too much paperwork. Too many people who get paid off. You need to go to that random hotel. It is interesting. It's the World Trade Center. It's the Bucharest World Trade Center. Whenever that first came up, I was just like, interesting. But it's like a real location. Like, but it's a real place. They make it up for this movie. This like Bucharest, like World Trade Center. They're like, so you got to guard him into this hotel that you have absolutely no intel on, and it's like literally 6 dudes instead of the army base that's literally right there because that's too much paperwork. Okay, anyway, have fun. But like that scene goes on way longer than what I described. They spend like 10 minutes like arguing about it, but then they just do the thing anyway. And
that's most of the movie, by the way. Just that kind of idea. Him and Hall about something and then do it, and it doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well,
doesn't
and
make any difference.
Here you have, I don't know if it's the first, but it's I think one of the 3 things that are maybe supposed to be a plot twist, but don't go anywhere that you teased. Because he makes a whole point in the interrogation whenever Steven Seagal's like, and who was it that told you to do this? And he goes, it was your voice, or it was you, I heard. And he says that Seagal's the one that like made them ultimately do this.
Yeah, is that ever explained?
No.
Okay.
No.
I thought not.
No.
I wasn't
This
sure.
is the whole. That was. Sorry, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Keep going.
We'll get there.
Because spoiler alert, the reason he's being interrogated is because this mission went very wrong, and like everybody in his, all 6 of these like marshals like ended up dead. And so the whole time Seagal's like, how are you the only one alive? What did you do? How's this your fault? And so he's just like, yeah, you're the one that told us we had to go to the hotel. That doesn't go anywhere. That's not explained. That doesn't
and they
matter.
bring it up like 4 different times.
They bring it up like later on, and then it just goes. He's like, okay.
Almost every time. So he's telling the story. You're like in the mission, living the life of the mission, and then it jumps back to present day, and Seagal's interrogating him, and like he finishes that section of the story, whatever. And Seagal asks him at least 3 different times, like, who gave the order, and Luke says, you did. You were the one who killed him. Turns out, whoops, he's actually still alive. You were the one who gave the order for us to protect him in secret. But now you're interrogating me because the mission went wrong?
How in the world did he not know that this dude was not dead? You're the one who shot him.
Exactly. This is what has me so frustrated and why I was so
it doesn't
confused.
if he intentionally didn't really shoot him and he was helping to fake his death, it doesn't make sense the way he acts through the rest of the movie. If he shot him and he just happened to live, that makes even less sense. Neither way you look at it makes sense, but
yeah,
but that's not presented as a conflict. That's not presented as like a challenge. Like that's just a fact that doesn't matter. But comes up multiple times.
Seagal, elite man on his attack force, shoots the guy who he specifically said we have to take alive, kills him. Turns out he's not actually dead, and then Seagal gives the order for a team of marshals to
completely unrelated. Just
completely
introducing new people into the situation
to babysit
him, and then that mission goes very wrong, and now we're sitting in an interrogation about why it could have gone so wrong, and he keeps asking who gave the order. Well, it was you. Anyway, back to the mission.
What was this?
Back to the mission. They're at the hotel. They have the room secured. They're just chilling for a second. Actually, for more than a second, for like 10 minutes again, because this whole movie.
Just like shuffle around.
Yeah. Luke goes to the roof where he meets my favorite character, who is like the lead bellhop.
Played by one of our historically favorite actors, Claudio Bliant, who, if you remember, played the mad scientist that didn't matter from the zombie vampire movie.
Against the Dark.
Yeah, Against the Dark.
Yeah.
He's played several drug dealers and like minor goons in various gangs.
Yeah.
He's like the best part of pretty much every movie he shows up in, unless Iron Man is also there.
Yeah, no, he's fun in this one because he's just like on the roof smoking a joint on the phone, and Luke comes up behind him with like a gun to his head, and the guy's like, "Okay, baby, gotta go," and like hangs up the phone. And it's weird because I don't know like what authority the marshals have here. Like he just walks up to the lead bellhop and like points a gun at his head, and he's like, "Okay, I'm letting you off easy." Like he puts takes the joint from him. He's like, "All right, get back to your job or whatever." Another thing that they kind of make a big deal about is he walks in and like they have this whole thing where like one of the other agents is like, I witnessed him coming in from the roof with a joint in his hand, like, but that doesn't actually end up mattering. Like that doesn't go anywhere. Like they try to set up this thing like it looks like he was actually using the joint, but the marijuana cigarette.
That lasts for like 30 seconds.
Yeah, like literally he has they're officially, she's like, writing down incident report. Like I saw him with a marijuana cigarette, and then like he talks to the guy, and the guy's just like, yeah, okay,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Basically, they chill there for a minute until mission starts to go wrong.
Until they start jangling keys in front of you. Basically.
Yeah, honestly. I would be more enraptured with like a YouTube video of just keys jangling. Deputy guy, actually, he wants to be head honcho, so his intentions are to be killing Salazar. He would like to kill Salazar.
When you say deputy guy, just to be clear, that's the guy he was playing chess with at the beginning.
His
deputy in the cartel.
Yes, the deputy of the cartel, not like a United States deputy or anything.
Except he already had that.
Ignore it. Move on.
It doesn't. You just gotta.
So what is allegedly happening now?
I see it in your face. I know your pain. I see it. We just gotta move on.
No conflict in this movie needs to happen within the story.
What we're led to believe is happening right now is Salazar is turning informants.
Yes.
And he is going to be transferred to the United States to like name names and everything, and he'll be under the watchful eye, but like not serve jail time. So deputies coming in to kill him, so then he like fully take over everything. That's what we know for now. That will change later.
Yes.
So now
Become
like
dumber. Because that halfway
dudes literally
made
like
sense.
rappel down, break into the window. There's a whole shoot up.
Kerfuffle.
A whole kerfuffle. What do we always say? Like antics ensue, shenanigans ensue, whatever.
Yeah.
I think when they're in the hotel room having the shootout, the part that made me laugh hardest is when you have like two of the marshals like behind cover, and one of them goes, "Cover me!" and he runs out and immediately gets wasted. Normally it's like, "Cover me," and they run to another thing of cover. He just gets blasted.
He jumps out from cover and then just dies.
Just dies so fast.
So many of these guys die. I'm pretty sure like more die than were on the mission. Like tons of these guys die.
You just see a marshal die in every other scene. You're like, I thought there were like 6 of you. Also, like as this is happening, there's like, you know, as the people are bursting in, Salazar randomly just like does this whole like runway walk at one point. He's like putting his like sports coat on. And
they try really hard to make him look cool.
Stunning.
Yeah, they try really
like
hard
a
to
shotgun,
make him look cool multiple
and he just
times.
starts blasting these dudes.
Where did he
off.
get the shotgun? By the way,
Okay, no, that is explained.
We'll get there.
That is explained.
Okay.
He like blasts dudes' legs off with the shotgun, and then this is when he kind of explains a little bit of what's happening. He says like, "Who do you think owns this hotel?" I do. So he's like, "This is like my suite. This is my hotel. So like I had this shotgun hidden here."
Okay.
Like he's like, "This little baby has been waiting for me," or something.
I think my eyes glazed over at that point.
Yeah. Well, this part I did have to rewind because I was just like, "Wait, he's on their side." Like I had to like it was a little weird, like the transition that happens here.
So this is one of my biggest issues with all of this is because they try to do something. So he is under the protection of the U.S. Marshals, just trying to get out. But at the same time, he also wants revenge because his deputy in the cartel killed his wife.
But not until after he faked his death. So like now he like still wants to be under the protection of the DEA via the marshals, but he sort of teams up with them several different times and then betrays them and teams back up with them, and it's
hold on, we're not there yet.
But it's so dumb
because what happens is so then they burst in, they start taking hostages, they have the whole shoot up and everything. We are then introduced again to the guy who was like the DEA agent giving them the orders, like, you know, that the one that met them gave them the live Salazar and said you have to guard him in the hotel.
Yeah.
And whenever the deputy and company are like demanding, you know, like, hey, bring us this guy, like, you know, I want to talk to this guy, bring us this guy, or we'll start killing hostages. It's that guy. I can't remember his name. Yeah, I don't even, is it the chief? I don't know.
I don't know.
Head
Doesn't
DEA
matter.
guy. So they put a bug on him. He goes in, but then actually it turns out that like the reason they asked for him is not to like negotiate anything, not to talk to the DEA. It's because he had previously worked out a deal. So he is a dirty agent. So it seems like now the information we learn, like one of the later twists that comes along, is like Salazar was gonna point names, whatever. Turns out, actually, he has a key that's worth $500 million. I don't know. It's like literally a key. They're literally
out of
keys
nowhere
in front of us. I don't know if this just opens a security lockbox in some, you know, Romanian bank or whatever. He has $500 million. So he was going to give that money to corrupt DEA agent. So instead of having to name names and live under the supervision of the DEA, he was going to like basically just like be allowed to like go free. DEA agent guy is upset because he had leverage over Salazar with his wife, but then the deputy guy had killed his wife. Had killed Salazar's wife for like no reason, as far as I can tell. So he messed up this leverage that he had over Salazar.
Problem with all of this.
Yes, there are many problems with
what
all
they
of this.
want is Salazar dead and the key from around his neck. Except we saw a scene earlier in the movie where corrupt DEA guy had an unconscious Salazar in the back of his van. And could have just taken the key. And everyone thought Salazar was dead anyway. Could have killed him. Zero consequences. Everyone could have gotten what they wanted.
To the marshals for no reason. Have the marshals guard him for no reason.
They didn't think up that plot point until after they filmed that scene.
Yeah.
You would think that, like, he could just take it off this body. You would think that, like, if for some reason he couldn't, he would have Salazar guarded by, like, his own men that he could trust, not these random U.S. Marshals he's
because
never
he
met
does
before.
have
Oh
a
my God.
goon squad that he can
Yes.
trust.
Yeah.
They come up
He
later.
just seems to carte blanche have his own, like, paramilitary wing of the DEA.
Yeah.
We just gotta
But
keep moving. This
There's
is
like football hooligans.
So
and
this
ski
is
masks.
the
Getting-
twist
Yeah.
that is poorly explained. It doesn't make sense, but allegedly what we're led to believe is he had made a deal with Salazar, but also had a deal with Deputy Guy. Deputy Guy killed Salazar's wife after the raid, so now they kind of want revenge. So Salazar is working with the U.S. Marshals basically to survive. Like, it becomes like Die Hard in the hotel. And even like later at one point, Luke teams up with like bellhop joint smoking guy. But you know, while this is all happening, they manage to make a call to the police. So like police and SWAT team and everything are there or are on their way soon. So this kind of happens. We have like kind of two crappy gunfights. The gal, Amanda, is kidnapped and like being held hostage. So Luke and Salazar like, you know, try to rescue her. But then this is when we learn, ooh, actually, Salazar doesn't want to just work with you and get with the D and everything. He wants to, like, you know, run away, just like, you know, do his own business and keep like the money or whatever. So DEA, not DEA, SWAT team bursts in, and hey, if you thought maybe Seagal was in like the opening gunfight and then the interrogation room and that was it, psych, you're wrong. Steven Seagal is leading the SWAT team. That's taking on, that's raiding the hotel
For no reason.
for no reason. So essentially, the square up that ends up happening is it's Luke versus Salazar, and it's Seagal versus the deputy guy.
Okay.
For no reason.
For no reason.
Can I want to jump in right here. So this is something we haven't done in a while. Talked about people's careers outside of the movie that we're talking about, because for a long, long time it has not mattered. Like, most of the people who've seen these movies didn't go on to do anything notable beforehand. Unless they were, like, for some reason quite famous. People might not recognize Deputy Guy, played by Georges St-Pierre. He's a Canadian mixed martial artist who is widely regarded as one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time.
Okay. Sure.
He is a three-time UFC welterweight champion, and one of, I think, only like 4 people ever to be the champion in 2 different weight classes. He has been consistently ranked as the #1 welterweight fighter in the world. He was the Canadian Athlete of the Year in 2008, 2009, and 2010. And he had retired from MMA, and then in 2017 came back and won the middleweight title, and then that's how he became like the 4th fighter in the history of the UFC to be a multi-division champion. And this is the guy that Seagal wants to like put himself up against and like make a clown out of in the final fight. And it's supposed to like be beating up. This pick was purely to feed Seagal's ego that he gets to beat up,
of course,
the world's greatest UFC fighter.
Oh, absolutely. Well, because in earlier scenes in the movie, you see this guy like genuinely looking like he has earned those titles in coordinated fight scenes against other people. And then he goes up against Seagal, and you can tell the director was like, you just got to let him fling you. You just gotta let him like
they can't make
around.
Seagal look better than this guy, so you have to make him look worse.
Yeah, you just have to like flop yourself on the floor a couple times. I know it sucks. He's paying us a lot of money to make this happen. You just gotta do it.
They're like, hey, there might be a scene where you're on a balcony and the 2 of you have to fall from the balcony to the floor beneath you onto a pad that does not exist prior to or after the shot of you falling onto it. It will very obviously be a stunt double of Seagal, but like, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And then it's been a minute since we talked about this. I thought we had some pretty bad knife fights before. I think we have a contender for the worst knife fight I've ever seen in any movie, even compared to all the other Skull movies.
It's very bad.
I think this is maybe the worst knife fight. The only redeeming factor, the only thing that's good about it is very short.
Yes.
But it is like concentrated. Every second, every like frame of this is worse than every other knife fight we've seen. Seagal pulls out the
Somehow.
knife like with his just kind of like first 2 fingers and thumb.
It's just
and
like
doesn't even
loosely-
do, like,
he
It's
does
like
the-
fake stabs. He just does a little wiggle, like a
little wiggle, yeah, the wiggle.
It's like
It is,
bouncing
it's like a
in
wiggle.
his hand. He's barely holding on to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like in a
And-
cartoon, when the character pulls the knife out and then like wiggles it back and forth in front of their face as to say like, "Come on." That's what Seagal does, but basically like with his pinky outstretched,
Yeah.
like he being real fancy
So
about it or something.
stupid.
It's so dumb.
But you
My
know how
God.
whenever we talk about this, normally they do a little clink clink.
Yeah.
No, this one just goes stab. Like it's just
And it's done.
it's done. He just stabs deputy guy in the neck. Deputy guy.
And
Yeah.
there's just
Again,
like so many like sound effects put into
Oh,
the
man.
stab. Oh.
it's like
And, like-
squelches, like
Well, and there's just like bad After Effects blood splatter just
Yes.
shooting out of this guy's neck.
But he does make a really funny death face. He kind of has
He
like
does
a weird
make a
like
funny
smile
death face.
on. Like
Good
he
job.
does like a pretty funny death.
Good job, Georges St. Pierre.
That little conflict is resolved.
Yeah.
So what we have going on with Luke and Salazar is actually he's like taken Amanda hostage, but then what we actually learn is that's Salazar's sister. That she's not Amanda
Because why not?
Chavez. She's Amanda Salazar.
Yeah.
Except Tom, the entire movie, is saying Chavez.
Yeah.
The whole
they try
movie,
to-
he doesn't say Chavez, he says Chavez.
Chavez. And
It bothers me so much.
they try to do a
Yeah.
couple flashbacks to show them hinting at it. Like they flash back to her looking at the dossier. They flash back to him being like, "Hello, little lady," which is some foreshadowing, I guess. And like they flash back to like, "I would do anything for my family" or something. Like
And then they flash back to a scene that didn't happen, as far as I can
Yeah.
tell.
probably. So he gets away. He gets away some of his goons who he like puts Amanda into a van, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Tom, Luke and Amanda like kiss." Like
We're all over the place here.
Yeah.
It does.
They're holding her hostage. He rescues her, and they kiss. Like I said, after they had like maybe 20 seconds of screen time up to this.
They've
Yeah.
known each other for a grand total of 2
Like,
days.
2 days.
They have existed in each other's presence for less than an hour.
Yeah.
He rescues her. They kiss. So then Salazar takes her into his van, and he's like, "If I learn that you hurt her, there is nothing I won't do to find you."
What?
And he
Salazar's
literally
like,
goes, "Yeah, I'm sure."
When he goes,
away.
"You don't get it yet, do you?"
Yeah.
And gets in the van, and they drive off. And then that's
You
when,
haven't
okay, he
figured it
learns.
out? You haven't been
Yeah.
paying close enough attention? How in the world would I have
Oh,
figured
that's her
out
sister, clearly.
the fact that you are related even though you look nothing like each other and that her
No.
name is fake and there was no indication of that
And
until
she's
after the
a
reveal.
U.S. Marshal.
Yeah.
But then she just gives up her whole. I assume if she was some kind of mole in the U.S. Marshal, she just gives it up to run away Salazar here for no reason. Like
Yeah.
she could have kept being like a U.S. Marshal, been a person on the inside. That doesn't matter. They drive away.
Yeah, and
And
then
so
well, hold on, because then it goes back to Seagal. It goes back to the
Yes.
interrogation. Because after you have that realization, that's when Seagal in the interrogation is saying like, basically saying, "How can you be sure she wasn't the mole?" Because the interrogation is happening because Seagal thinks this guy who's telling the story is the mole, even though by the end
mole
of the
is just gross incompetence from
by
multiple
the end,
people.
well, by,
who are
by-
moles
There's
and
no
not moles.
mole.
but
There
by,
Everyone's
are
just an
moles, but
idiot.
also the non-moles
Right.
caused this to happen.
But by the end of the story, you have Seagal filling this guy in and telling him that what was her name? Amanda, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That she was Salazar's or is Salazar's sister. Basically saying, and that's when he has this like flashback sequence, and
Yes.
basically saying she's probably the mole. And
Yeah.
he says, "Oh yeah, I guess you're probably right." And so, what's the point of the
Why were we in this
interrogation?
Like the point of this
Why were we doing
interrogation
this?
was to demand information from Luke a bunch until Seagal turns like there's a camera recording the interrogation. He
Yeah.
turns it off and he's like, "Actually, here's what really happened. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the camera back on and we're going to lie together."
So the last hour and a half, because this happens within the last like 10 minutes, the last hour and a
Didn't
half of my
matter.
life was just wasted. Oh my god!
But no, you
I-
say hour and a half. It felt like 6.5 years.
It
of
was
my life.
just,
So long.
oh my god! It was
the
so
worst.
stupid. It was so stupid. And then at the end, he just has the key for the $500 million that Seagal
Yeah.
actually says. Seagal at one point says $500,000 when he
Yes.
meant $500 million, but they didn't tell him.
Yeah.
They didn't do another take. He just says $500,000, but it's $500 million on the key.
My headcanon is that this is like a
Dr. Evil moment.
Like a Dr. Evil type thing.
Yeah.
That Seagal's brain is still in the 80s when like, $500,000 would be this like huge fortune. And he's like, ooh, $500,000. And everyone else starts laughing like, no, it's 500 million.
500 million.
Quite a bit more.
$500 million. Yeah, no. So he says that, and it's actually that, and it doesn't matter. It's just irritating. And then Luke just has the key at the end out of nowhere.
Rides off on his motorcycle.
And they go back to the same flashback sequence of Salazar like showing him the key, but then he takes the key back, and Luke has the key that he shouldn't have, that they didn't actually show him getting.
No, they don't even do like a hand insert of him like sleight of handing the key off.
Exactly, nothing. Nope. And then he rides off into the sunset on his motorcycle with his $500,000.
Like I guess he's like he doesn't have to go back to the U.S. Marshal.
Not million.
He's just like he's just a free agent now.
Yeah.
And
like,
that's the end of the movie.
It felt like they were baiting me for like a second one about how he gets the money or something, and
Salazar
like he teams up with Salazar and actually gets to like be with Amanda. Except I have absolutely zero desire to see that happen, and I think the movie knows that too.
There is
it's like embarrassed to end. It just stops.
Yeah, no, they just go, oh, this has already gone like 10 minutes over. Okay, let's just wrap it up now.
yeah, this was an hour and 40 minutes as opposed to the usual hour and 30 hard stops, so it felt like it.
Yeah.
No, this movie, if that whole recap made very little sense, that's because the movie made very little sense. It was a lot of different plot points that were held onto not quite long enough to come to any sort of satisfying end, and then
but somehow also overstayed their welcome.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then by the end of the movie, they were all sort of swept under the rug, and they said, "No, actually, those don't matter." You idiot! You thought that mattered, and that's the movie.
Yeah. I think the way to understand it is just imagine that at the beginning of every scene, the actors are essentially told, you have a different motivation this time, but you're still just going to betray someone for no reason. Like, you just need to betray someone, but your reason for doing so will change every scene.
It's like an improv comedy sketch that just got wildly out of hand.
You're like, we're at a Starbucks.
That's actually a really good way of putting it.
Okay, and then now we're on the moon. Okay. Because you just keep yes-anding, and at some point you have to say no.
That's a really good way of putting it. That's a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
And then the bellhop was just all of a sudden on the roof.
Oh yeah, he was in on it. He was with Salazar too, because he's like, he pays my checks.
Of course he is. Why not? And then all of a sudden,
if you had asked, I would have told you. What?
Incidental character that actually didn't really contribute anything positive or negative. Like,
no, he doesn't seem to have helped anyone do anything
or hurt anyone. Stopped anyone from doing anything.
He was just there.
He was just there.
He was just like, the only times you see him is when he obviously was just like trying to be alone so he could smoke weed. Like, that was it. That's all he wanted.
Which is why he's my favorite character in the movie. He's the only one that actually like makes some sense for most of his scenes.
Yeah.
It honestly feels like just like the kind of like joke ending. The fact that he's working for Salazar is like, wouldn't it be funny if we just had this random bellhop that doesn't matter? Like, and he was like the assistant, like to the mastermind the whole time.
Yeah.
That would have been better. This is a dumb movie.
The castle piece in chess.
It hated me. This movie hated me.
I don't think this movie hated me. I think this movie just like, I don't know. It's like they didn't care about me. They don't hate me. The movie does not think I'm a big dumb.
The opposite of love is indifference.
Yeah, I think this movie thinks movies are dumb.
Well, like I said, this is the kind of movie that you would just like fall asleep like watching like at 2 p.m. on a Saturday. I think the editor also just kind of fell asleep like editing this like 2 p.m. on a Saturday. So like things are just random flashbacks happen to stuff that doesn't explain what just happened. Like, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
It's fine. You're supposed to have it on in the background.
See, here's the problem. The last movie we watched, I can't even remember which one it was. What was it?
It was The Perfect Weapon.
Yeah.
That's right.
The perfect weapon.
The perfect weapon. When things happen for no reason out of nowhere in The Perfect Weapon, I think I said that my whole attitude during that entire movie was, "Yep, sure, why not? It just happened. Yep, yeah, sure. I guess we're here now. Yep,
okay,
why not?" I was hitting the flow state hard during that movie, and this one, for whatever reason, I didn't feel that way.
I couldn't get into it.
Flowing like molasses.
I couldn't. It was so slow, and that's why it pulled me out of that state of just sort of riding the waves, and that's why I think it hates me, because I couldn't I couldn't just stay in the flow state with this movie. It kept pulling me out, slapping me across the face and saying, got ya. And I hate it. I hate it, and it hates me, and I'm so angry.
You ever go out on a boat? You ever go out on a boat that just like, it's kind of, you're going kind of fast, but you're going at such a speed that you hit like the top of every wave. So it's just like, it's a really uncomfortable ride. I think it's that. Like, if we sped up a little bit, we'd be fine. If we slowed down a little bit and paid more attention to what we're doing, we'd be fine. Okay. But we just like really
could not have slowed down. If they slowed down, I think I might have died.
Just floor it. Just floor it. They weren't jangling the keys hard enough.
Well, and also let me add a little slight. You said it was kind of like an improv, just kind of gone wild, like off the rails. Let me tweak that just a little bit.
Yeah, go for it.
It's like imagine the way. Just imagine how a 10-year-old would describe like the movie script they've been working on for like the afternoon. Yeah. Like imagine a 10-year-old telling you their idea for a movie. It's like this, and then like it actually turns out he's betraying him to get the 500 million, and then he falls in love with the girl, and then like this guy actually betrays them, and there's a cool gunfight, and
that's a
like
good
just picture
idea.
Really excited 10-year-old. Yeah, you're like, okay. Like you can tell. Oh well. That scene didn't. I mean, he's a 10, so it's fine. But that scene didn't really connect to the last one. That scene's clearly just ripped off from the Italian Job. Like that scene's just like you can just see him kind of half remembering a bunch of movies he's watched.
Yeah. Does Keone Waxman have a son that would have been around that age at this time?
I don't know. But I mean, Keone's been cranking these things out.
Well, who actually? Oh, this was written by Keone Waxman and Richard Beatty.
Yeah.
The only ones I recognize here that he wrote are Maximum Conviction and Cartels and some episodes of True Justice. So he's also just in the Seagal,
the Seagaliverse.
So it is like just recurring Seagal writers who are working on this. So they are just kind of what they got. The little they had different pieces of paper with different plot points written on them, ripped up like in a hat. They're like, okay. Yeah. We have DEA agents. We have betrayals. We have knife fights. Like this is just
except like 3 different people wrote betrayals on like slips of paper.
A betrayal.
And they pulled out too
betrayal.
many.
Okay, who keeps putting the betrayals in here? You know everything we pull out we have to use, right? Another betrayal, guys. Come on.
Secret sibling.
Good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I have no idea how we're gonna fit that in there. We might just tack it on at the end.
Does Seagal have this? Does she find out she's siblings with Luke?
Oh,
is it a Star Wars thing? No, actually, yeah. I think this writer's room was just, what if we take one element from every Seagal movie, and that did include repeating some elements. They're like, these 3 movies had a betrayal, so we're taking 3 betrayals. Like, this is just the Seagal movie put into a blender. They didn't really set the blender on high. When you drink the smoothie, there's still some ice chunks in there, some really big ice chunks.
Yeah,
it does hit all of the major.
All
of the major things. Like you have the romance out of nowhere.
Yeah, you have the 3-letter agencies, but you should distrust them.
Right.
Also, really, like super ill-defined 3-letter agencies. Like, what are any of these jurisdiction?
That you're free to just leave whatever
like
you want.
The kind of like surface level environmentalism. If they found a way to fit like environmental concerns in here, this would be the Seagal movie of Seagal movies.
And I'm really sorry to point this out, but there's no gratuitous nudity in this.
There is no gratuitous nudity. Yeah. So this is an improvement in that regard.
So if they just need an environmentalist message tacked on at the end and some sort of gratuitous nudity at some point, and this would be like the platonic form of a Seagal film.
Yeah.
So which is, I want to emphasize, not good.
No. But just imagine, like, so picture the director's cut of this movie.
Yeah.
Because this gets a director's cut. It's the same exact thing.
It barely got this cut.
But just like imagine he like has the 500 million, he rides off into the sunrise or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just cuts to just like a random woman who has not been in the movie previously, not one of the characters. But she just takes her top off and she's like, you can donate to Greenpeace at greenpeace.org/donate. Like, for every $1 that you give, we will clean off like 2 pelicans. Then that would be like the platonic ideal. That is the form, the Seagal form.
I guess. I'll be honest, I'm glad we didn't get that.
No. But... The more elements of the Seagal form you have, the worse the thing becomes. Like,
this didn't bottom out. I mean, this was definitely not the worst movie we've seen.
Yeah, it's like, you know how some movies have a bunch of good stuff. It's like a cake recipe. Like some movies are like egg and flour, and then like, oops, oh no, there's something bad in there that ruins it, like a little rat poison. The Seagal form is just all of those ingredients are rat poison. So what we're saying is this movie gave us like 18 out of 20 rat poisons. I'm not saying I want these other 2 things, the like surface level environmentalism and like the gratuitous nudity, but that would be 20 out of 20 rat poisons.
Yeah, it's almost there. You have like your senseless betrayals, 3-letter agencies with dubious jurisdiction. Seagal pops up out of nowhere,
and just
later
people
Seagal
like
stuff,
arguing between each other.
Yeah, just arguing for no reason.
About,
no
like,
one
authority.
wants to work on a team. This is sort of a later Seagal thing, but not being the star of his own movie.
All those interrogation scenes. Skull sitting in a chair.
Lots of interrogation scenes. He got to speak some foreign languages in this one.
Yeah, but in like a really hushed whisper.
Oh yeah, he was not confident.
He rolls over his words.
He was not confident.
This is kind of changing the subject, moving on a little bit, but I just thought about the interrogation scene, something that just popped in my head. The funniest thing. Because at one point, they like bring in one of the other marshals or whatever. They're like talking to Luke, and they like bring in this other guy, and they like get in a little fight. They're like, "You dirty bastard!" They fight each other.
Yeah.
And the entire time, I'm not even picture the most bored voice you can think of. Seagal's going, "Get that guy out of here! I'm telling you, get that guy out of here!" And he's like apprehending this dude who's like starting the fight with Luke. Like they're like currently punching each other in the stomach. Seagal's like grabbing the dude and it's like, "I told you to get this guy out of here." But it's not even that. It's like, "I told you to get this guy." I can't sound bored enough to sound like what he's sounding like. I said, "Get this guy out of this room. Get this guy out of this room. Get this guy out of this room now."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he says it 4 times and sounds more bored every single time.
He did that whole interrogation
like a fist fight
sequence.
Happening.
He sounded like exasperated, like, "I can't believe we're still here. How many takes is this? 3rd take? Are you kidding me? I usually get it in 1. They're making me do this again and again and again." And he just like, he sounds so angry to have to be on a movie set in his own movie that he's getting paid to do.
Well, I mean, he has to be over to this point. So he did 6 movies in 2016.
Yeah, he's got to be exhausted.
Like, you have to remember, if you're listening to this podcast, the last, like 2 months have been 2016. He only did 2 in 2017.
I'm just saying, you don't often, like...
No, but
Danny
that's
Trejo's in like 300 movies every single year.
But I'm agreeing with you is that he was in like 2 in 2014. He was like 1 in 2015. He was in 6 in 2016. Then he's in 2 in 2017, 1 in 2018, 2 in 20. Like, I think he is legitimately burned out.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm over this. I'm not doing this anymore."
That's fine, but it's like you can see it on screen that he's burned out. Like he's the way he talks.
Movies for a while at this point. I think he actually hates movies.
I think he's hated movies since like 1997, probably.
I think this all just sort of goes back to our theory that like he's being forced to do this by some kind of like mob connection, and they're funneling money through him and his production company.
Yeah, I think
that's the only way these movies can keep happening.
Yeah, I think
it's the only thing that makes sense.
My initial theory was that he had dirt on all these famous people. I think you're right, Hans. He might just be the tool. Like, he's not... Because looking back on it, I would have to propose that he's the mastermind behind this and actually wants to make these movies. But as evidenced by the last, 15 of these, he does not want to be making these movies.
Like, in the Breaking Bad explanation of how money laundering works, he is the nail salon.
Yeah.
And he's, just so over being a nail... He's the most over being a nail salon you can possibly be.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did notice that this one actually brought back Lionsgate. We had a couple Lionsgate movies, and then we had at each movie added another a higher amount of production companies. This one had 4 production companies. This one had 5 production companies, each one getting smaller and sketchier than the last. This one brought Lionsgate back because it did have a limited theatrical distribution, I suppose.
Yeah.
Weird.
So Lionsgate is somehow involved in this.
Did either of you pull lines
Oh yeah, I did have a. This is definitely not my favorite line, but a really gross line that I remembered at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
After Steven gets Tom to lie to the camera, they talk as if they're gonna go like track down Salazar now. And so he says, will it be a problem if you run into Amanda Salazar? Like, will it be a problem if you run into her? Like, will he be able to shoot her? And he's like, I'd never shoot pretty women. Talking about like the scene from the beginning. It's a callback.
Yeah.
And he says, what about fat girls?
Shoot a beautiful woman. No, he says, what about ugly women?
What about ugly women? And he says, no problem there. And then I think Seagal says something.
Seagal says, well, it's good to know you are ethical, at least.
Yeah, it's good to know you're ethical.
It's gross.
That's gross.
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 That one did stick out to me. That's in like my top 5 like crappiest lines of this movie.
Just a little dialogue exchange.
Yeah.
Mine probably is at one point Seagal is going on this whole rant that doesn't make sense when he's just like, you think I'm dumb? Like, I wasn't born on the turnip truck. Like, I wasn't born at night. I was born in the day, in the sunshine.
What does that mean, Steve?
I wasn't born on the turnip truck. Okay, kind of get what you're going for. I wasn't born at night. Sure.
What?
Okay.
What does that
say you were? That one stuck out. Of course, the same one you said, never shoot a pretty woman about ugly one, you are ethical, at least. That one sticks out. There was another one, but I'm blanking on it. I don't care.
The movie didn't either. I'm
not giving any thought to this.
I would be
fascinated. What was Seagal's
to
name in this one?
John. Again.
John Harrison.
John Harrison.
Names just get more and
out
more,
of names.
Unimaginative as time goes. They've used every name.
I didn't really have like a line per se. I guess it is a line, but Salazar after the end gunfight, they get the girl back, they get Amanda back, and Salazar's walking with Amanda like hunched. She has him propped over her shoulder.
Yeah.
And he's like obviously nursing a gunshot wound in his gut, and he's like has his hand covering up a big bloody spot in his jacket. And Amanda says to Luke as they walk up to him, he's hit, and he like slouches over and holds his gut, and Luke goes, "Hey, are you okay?"
Yeah.
I don't know why that really made me laugh, because it's like you see this man who's bleeding out, just like hanging on to somebody else to help him walk, obviously nursing a gunshot wound, and she says he's been hit. And your response is, "You all right?"
Okay, dude.
As an empath, Luke can clearly tell that Salazar is going through some pain right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is honestly, it's just so weird. Like, it's just so bad across the board, but like, it's strange because this is a later career Seagal, but there's actually more of Seagal than you would expect if you've watched the last few ones. Like, he's still not the main character, but like, we've seen like what in The Perfect Weapon, he like shows up for like maybe 5 minutes of screen time. He's actually somewhat more recurring. That he is in the opening scene, sprinkled throughout, and then the ending scene. Like, he's still not very present. He's still probably only there for like 15% of the screen time.
Yeah,
more than you would expect. Everything is bad, but somehow slightly higher production quality than you'd expect. Like, it's a very weird
until they do any sort of like digital effects.
Oh well, no, don't even bother. No. So it's like a 1-star, but it's like very different than other 1-stars. If that makes any sense. This is like a different 1-star than Contract to Kill.
I need like I need like a gradient of colors for the stars.
Yeah, like this is a purple 1-star when like a good man is like a kind of taupe like 1-star.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, if you were to say like an Urban Justice, that would be like maybe like a red 1-star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's 1-star, but it was rough.
Yeah. Like Shadow Man, now that's like a burgundy 1-star.
Yeah. A burgundy 1-star.
Burgundy. Black Dawn is an orange 1-star. Out of Reach is kind of like a lavender 1-star.
It's so sad that I like kind of get what you're getting at with these.
Out for a Kill is like a great 1 star. Okay.
Yeah.
I would also have to give this 1 star.
But what color?
I don't
This
know
is
that
a
I follow the
beige.
scheme.
This is
Pretty
beige.
It's a beige 1 star.
A symphony in beige.
Yeah.
Solid beige. Yeah, what if we, instead of like the star rating, what if we give like a color rating each movie? Like this movie, solid beige.
Beige.
Very beige territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you watch instead? I have the perfect one.
Oh,
let's hear
oh,
it.
you go.
Okay,
You go first.
so if you want a film told in many, many flashbacks with lots of double crossing that takes place mostly on like 2 different locations, Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
I've
Yeah,
never
that's a good
actually
one.
seen Reservoir Dogs.
Oh.
Hans, have you ever?
It's really good.
We could just have a whole podcast out of the movies that Hans hasn't seen.
Probably.
So Hans and I were at the movie theater to see Dune Part 2 recently, and
Yeah.
a trailer for Furiosa came on screen.
Oh,
And I was just like, oh, hell yeah, man. That's right.
Yes.
Furiosa, new Mad Max movie. That's right. You know Fury Road. And he goes, nope. haven't
what?
been into Mad Max
You
movie."
have not seen Fury Road?
I haven't seen any of the Mad Max.
Oh
He's
my
like, "I haven't seen
gosh.
the Mad Max. I'm like, not even Fury Road. He's like, nope. So we just finished talking about
Cartels /
Cartels
Killing
/
Salazar.
Salazar.
Number
Killing
45.
Salazar, that's what I said. Because
If you're still listening, 45 episodes in, you can join us same Seagal time, same Seagal place
unfortunately,
for China Salesman. I don't like
With
that
Mike
title.
Tyson.
This is the one with Mike Tyson in it. God. You can join us and Mike Tyson next week for China Salesman.
this one has 3 names. Great. 3 names
What
in
else is
English.
it
That's not
called?
even counting the Chinese name.
What are they?
What else is it called?
China Salesman, Deadly Contract, and Tribal Warfare.
Great.
Each of those makes like less sense than the last.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
We got 4 more of these. 4 more. That's it.
Any closing thoughts on Cartels?
Don't
No.
watch it.
No, don't watch it. I have no thoughts on this. I
barely had any thoughts on it while I was watching
Yeah.
it.
Maybe if it's like on TV and it's in the background.
No!
change it to
There are so
something
many
else, put
other
something
things
else
that
on
you
in the
could have
background.
on in the background on TV.
You could have like some Seinfeld playing in the background. That'd be better.
Yeah.
You could have a video of tape of paint drying on your TV in the background, and it would be better than
Probably
this.
have a better time. The plot would make more sense.
Just go get one of those vibes videos that Sarah likes of a coffee
Just
shop
have,
with
like,
rain in the background.
10-hour like coffee shop ambience,
yeah.
jazz,
Yeah.
Christmas fusion, rainy day.
Yeah.
If you
no
need
ads.
background, put that on instead of this.
Yeah.
Well, so we
Yeah.
started also putting on these videos of just like dogs like running around the beach for baby like whenever we like leave the house. But now we've also just like, so it would be like, okay, we're leaving. Let's put one of these on for Bailey, like, while we're gone, to like, kind of keep him amused maybe. He doesn't really seem to pay much attention. I don't think it works, but we still do it. But now we're just at the point we just put those on. Like, those are our vibes videos now. Like, we're just still sitting at home, and then all of a sudden I'll realize that like we've spent the last 5 minutes just watching a video of a dog. Like, we're just both sitting on the couch watching this video of this dog walking around like a creek, like on a trail.
Oh my god.
Or like you'll find some where they just clearly have like the same like 10 shots and they just like loop it for 2 hours. So you're like, oh, there's the dog shaked himself off again. Oh, there's the dog that's like running into the sandcastle. Like, oh, here, this is the banger. This is a good one coming up. Oh yeah. There's the dog that he like comes up and he like puts his snoot right in the camera.
Are you okay?
Those are what?
Are you okay?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just
Why?
watching 2 hours.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just because it'll be on in the background, and then we're just like sitting there watching, and we're just like, oh, look at this dog. Oh, look at this dog. Look at this dog. And so we tell ourselves, this is like, oh yeah, we're gonna keep Bailey entertained, and then we just get
Oh no.
we end up just watching it, and it's our vibes video.
Okay.
I mean, that would be better than why is this concerning you so much?
I don't know. Just like it's the jingling keys, but different.
You know what? Put on a video of 10 hours of jingling keys. Better than Cartels.
Mm.
Yeah, I rate this movie
Yeah.
1 jingle out of 5 keys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
They like
I'm gonna
forgot
stop
to put a
recording.
second key on the ring, and so it doesn't actually jingle. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Yeah,
You ready?
stop.
Are we gonna stop at the same time? Is that
Sure. Yep.
That means one of us has to die.
I'm like,
it's the only thing.
oh my gosh.
And this is such an awful thing because this is a very me thing, and I know this exactly what you'd expect. But I said to Zach, the only thing I know about Fury Road is that it was like entirely practical effects, and that all of the cars that they made were like real, and they had 3 or 4 different versions of each car because they all had to like flip and do and everything. And I said I was a little disappointed in the previews for Furiosa because it looks like they didn't do that.
But did you know that it is constant balls to the wall, wild action the entire time?
So
and that
I've
it
been
is
told.
an absolute roller coaster ride of a movie that at least once a week I am so close to loudly shouting some sort of reference to it, but restrain myself out of fear that people will look at me strangely.
Oh my god, you should
Witness!
You should have seen me like the first summer, like after we watched Fury Road. I was just walking around to Valhalla, witness
shiny and
witness
chrome.
Bag.
Oh my god!
Let's go! Whoa, what a glorious day!
I'll add it to.
Okay.
To the list.
So my watch instead is Mad Max Fury Road. Actually,
Yeah, watch Reservoir Dogs or Mad Max Fury Road
or any of the Mad Max movies.
Yeah, but especially
Witness me, blood bag.
I'll add it to the list.
Oh, it's so good.
I love the War Boys.
They're just boys.
Just boys, just dudes. You know what those movies are? Just dudes being dudes. Just fellas.
They're just guys being dudes.
Just men. Just being men.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
War Boys, like, that's a
male
perfect
fantasy.
name for them. Yeah, it's the male fantasy movie. It's like perfect.
Which is really funny for like how Fury Road, at least, not the rest of the Mad Max movies, but for how like actually legitimately like of a feminist film Fury Road is. It is also a male fantasy.
Yes.
It like perfectly just like there is a narrow path between those two.
Yeah.
And it just perfectly walks it.
Yes. It is a 100% bona fide like feminist film.
And it's a real
it
banger.
also satisfies like every male fantasy. It's great.
You're just like, God, I wish I could drive like a cobbled together like hot rod motorcycle through the desert before like getting,
with all my boys.
Before getting completely speared by a harpoon gun. Like,
yeah. I just want to like chase some people through with a monster truck through the desert.
Wouldn't that be awesome to like launch, like have an explosion tipped spear and like launch yourself up onto this big, semi truck?
Yeah.
And before just getting like smacked in the face with like a pipe wrench by like a girl with a robot arm.
And then you go to Valhalla all shiny and chrome.
Sounds awesome. Literally the dream.
And there's like a guy behind you that's like on a giant monster truck, just like made of concert speakers, playing a 2-neck guitar that shoots flames.
And, there's, like,
and he's just there for like moral support. He doesn't actually fight. He's just there to like get the vibes immaculate.
That you could assume is like doing like, you know, the way drums have been used in warfare or whatever. No. And then there's just a guy on the guitar just for the hell of it. Like,
yeah.
And he's called the Doof Warrior.
Yes.
The Doof Warrior.
Yeah.
The best character in any film. He has like 18 seconds of screen time and he's the greatest character ever conceived.
And then you learn that scene that was recorded live.
Cinema. Yeah, you should watch Fury Road instead of this piece of crap movie.
What would you watch instead, Hans?
I was gonna say Shrek.
Okay. I mean, like, that's choice. Okay. Shrek, I will say Shrek is not...
Shrek's a good movie.
Shrek deserves neither the hate that it got nor the love that it gets.
Academy Award winning film Shrek.
Shrek is a pretty good movie.
I think it's better than giving credit for. Hans, why would you watch it instead?
I don't know. That's what was in my head.
Okay.
But like,
hey, but this is classic Hans.
There's no equivalent to this piece of trash that we just sat through.
Reservoir Dogs. Better in every single way.
Reservoir Dogs.
Well, and Mad Max Fury Road is 2 hours long. This movie is 1 hour 40. So just like the time you wasted watching this, add 20 minutes on to watch like one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't have an issue with long movies if they're worth the time that you put into them.
But that's what I'm saying. This isn't even a long one. It's like an even 2 hours. It's 20 minutes longer than this.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
And feels half as long.
Just imagine if instead of like you wish it was longer. Just imagine if instead of watching this for 1 hour and 40 minutes for 2 hours, you just watch like the dopest like car chase, car combat scenes you've ever seen.
Can we get more punk rockers on dirt bikes, like jumping over monster trucks in the desert, please? Like longer scenes of that.
That'd be pretty rad.
And the guy named Immortan Joe, just riding around trying to get his people back. Oh.
Although I do, before Film Twitter gets mad at us, I need to correct the record. It is not entirely practical effects.
No.
They do have like real constructions of the cars. They do very smartly use a mix of practical and computer generated effects to enhance what they captured on screen.
It's immaculate.
Effects, but it is not. There's been a discourse lately that no CGI is a lie. Studios will say there's no CGI, and then you find out it's just hidden CGI. So it is a movie that very effectively uses a combination of practical and special effects to achieve its goal. And perhaps there are, I would agree, some shots in the Furiosa trailer that lean more heavily in or at least apparently on a visual level into the computer graphics territory that maybe have me slightly wondering how it's going to turn out. But I'm so excited.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Furiosa. It's going to be great.
Furiosa!
Dune and Furiosa, we're going to have two fantastic sand-based movies this year. It's a good year for sand.
It's a good year for sand.
It's a good year for desert epic sand. Like whoever has like stock in sand, they're shooting through the roof.
They're just shoveling it in. They're raking it in.
They're like, can we get more sand, guys?
So much sand.
Yeah, we don't have enough sand this year, actually. You know how last year movies hardly any sand.
Hardly any sand.
Not much sand. What came out last year that had sand? Not much. I can't think of anything.
This year, so much sand as far as the eye can see.
Sand everywhere. This last year, maybe you went to go see American Fiction. Some of those scenes were set at a beach house. A little bit of sand. They're on the beach. There's some sand. That's about it. That's like Oppenheimer. Oh, there was sand in Oppenheimer.
There was sand in Oppenheimer.
There was a little sand in Oppenheimer. But this year,
but it's like hard packed sand in Oppenheimer.
But this year, the sand runneth over.
Sand.
That's what makes a movie. But can't you just wait? Just knowing how dumb like Hollywood is sometimes. Just wait for some executive to be like, "It's the sand." Like Furiosa and Dune are going to be the highest grossing movies of the year. They're going to be like, "We need to put more sand in our movies."
Yeah.
Hey, you know that kind of like period drama that you had set in like oppressive like British society? Can you make it more sandy? Can
They're
you
actually
set
Bedouins
it, like, somewhere
now.
else? Can you put it in the desert?
We're gonna remake Lawrence of Arabia.
Ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. Hey, can we make a sequel to Moneyball, but they're not playing baseball, they're playing beach volleyball, so there's more sand. Can we do Top Gun, but just the scenes of the beach volleyball?
Yeah, that's why Top Gun did so well. Actually.
Yeah, it's the sand. Yeah,
it was the
actually
sand.
The only reason Top Gun wasn't better, the only reason Top Gun was like 4 out of 5 stars, not enough sand.
Not enough sand.
Not enough sand.
More sci-fi movies on Mars.
The Martian.
They gave us John Carter and we spat it back at them. They're not going to do another sci-fi movie on Mars. They gave us John Carter of Mars and we said no. Take it back. Hollywood is probably Mars averse because of that. Like it's like The Martian. That's pretty much it. What else you got?
Yeah.
What else is on Mars? Actually, you know what? We had John Carter of Mars, and we had Mars Needs Moms.
Ew.
Mars ain't happening, boys. Mars ain't happening anytime soon.
No. Puts on Mars.
In a movie. Yeah, they gotta have another sandy planet.
And you can have Mars as long as it's only one person. It's only one person on
if
Mars.
it's just Matt Damon.
Yeah, it's just Matt Damon.
They send him back.
So you know how you're watching Interstellar,
and he's alone on a planet by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know how you're watching The Martian, and it's like up front, like, hey, Matt Damon is like alone on this planet or whatever. You know how you're watching Interstellar, and then like halfway through the movie, you're just like, oh, Matt Damon's here.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a very specific, like, I don't know exactly what you'd call this, but the genre of movie where you're watching, and then you're just like, oh, Matt Damon's here.
Avengers.
What?
Avengers? I think it was an event.
Matt
No, that
Damon's-
was Thor.
That was
2.
Yeah.
Ragnarok. No, Thor like 3 or whatever that was. Ragnarok. Was that Ragnarok?
Yeah. Like Matt Damon's here.
Yeah.
We just went to see Drive Away Dolls. This film called Drive Away Dolls, starring Margaret Qualley.
I haven't even heard of that one. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point it's like only like because the theater near us has like 20 screens, so like it's still playing. But you're watching, you're like, okay, it's like this kind of lesbian like comedy crime thriller directed by one of the Coen brothers, and you're like, okay, this is kind of like quirky, this is interesting. Okay, and then Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Oh, even this movie. Oh, you just really can't. You just show him wherever. You're watching Oppenheimer. You're just like, oh yeah, it's about like this guy's big Matt Damon.
You're watching a Dunkin' Donuts commercial, and then Matt Damon comes out, and it's really embarrassing.
Yeah, they couldn't even get
Ben Affleck's there.
Oh, of course Ben Affleck's there. That man lives off Dunkin'.
Oh, someone recently told me that Manchester by the Sea is his favorite movie.
That Manchester by the Sea is Ben Affleck's movie, or this person told you?
No, this person told me that his favorite movie, that person's favorite movie, is Manchester by the Sea.
I haven't seen that one, but I feel like that's
it's depressing. It's a brutal movie.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Which I guess I can respect that, but like man, that's a lot to hear that that's someone's favorite movie.
That's like Zach telling you that his feel-good movie is Eraserhead.
Or Whiplash.
Whiplash
almost gave me a panic attack.
It should. I think that's the goal.
I think that is the goal, yeah.
Dang, maybe Manchester by the Sea could be my next comfort movie.
It's a lot for me.
Revolving around the themes of depression, guilt, grief, responsibility, dysfunctional families, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Hell yeah, let's go.
Stephen McKinley in it.
When does this episode end, by the way?
I assume this is
probably a while ago.
Outro, like this maybe like our whole Fury Road talk is like after the. I guess we should maybe
not all of it. You can hack out a pretty good bit there.